What's up, everybody? Welcome back. As you can see, we're not in the garage today, we're out in the backyard, and I've got my Camp Chef smoker that we built in another video. Today we're going to do the first time startup and burn in, and this step is really important because it does quite a few things. It tempers, it sets the paint, it burns off any of the shipping oil or manufacturing oil, and it coats all of the metal on the inside with a layer from the smoke to keep it from rusting. So this is a very important step, and I'm going to walk you guys through how to get everything set up. First thing we've got to do is make sure everything is ready to go. So I've got all the racks in here because you want all of them to be coated with the smoke so that they don't rust. They are stainless, but like this bottom plate and stuff will rust, surface rust, if you're not careful. You also want to make sure there's nothing in the bottom of your pellet hopper. Everything looks good in there. So we're going to start with some hickory pellets that I picked up. I like using hickory. Hickory's a good flavor. And I'm going to be smoking some chicken later, so I'm going to go ahead and use this because it'll give that chicken a really good flavor. Alright, so I got the hopper filled up here. Looks like enough. Next step's going to be to feed the pellets into the auger. You've got, the first time you fill up this thing, or anytime you run out of pellets, you've got to do a feed process in order to get all of the pellets down into the burn chamber, because if they're not in the burn chamber, then it won't start up correctly. And the burn chamber is way over here, so it takes a little while. So we're going to do that next. Alright, so the first thing you want to do is you want to open up this slider on the side. This is normally used to dump all the ash out of the burn chamber. But for this process, in order to verify that you have pellets in the burn chamber, you have to see if they land in this cup. And this cup is underneath that clean out. So at the end of our feed process, there should be pellets in that cup, and that's how we know that the process is complete. So once you have your smoker turned on, to get into the menu, you press the button, and then you cycle through until you see the word feed at the top, and you press the button again. And it starts a 7-minute countdown, and at the end of that 7 minutes, you should have pellets in that cup. If you don't, you have to do the feed process again. So I'm going to let this run, and then we'll come back to it whenever it's done. Alright, now that that process is complete, we need to remove this cup. You see we got some pellets in there. Perfect. Now you can just dump these right back in the hopper. Now we know that our feeder auger is primed, ready to go. Oh, a couple more fell out. Let's get those in there too. Close that up. Close this guy back up. And now we can start it up for the first burn-in. You want to do 350 degrees for 30 minutes once it reaches temperature. So we're going to get set up for that. Alright, we're ready to do our burn-in. I've got my little tablet over here set up so you can see the temperature. First thing you need to do though is you need to open the main door. The smoker has to have plenty of airflow in order for this to work correctly, so you have to have that door open or else you'll have problems. Next step here is you hit the menu button. And you scroll through until you hit 350. You set your smoke level. I'm just going to set it on 5 because that's the middle. And it's going to start. It's got a 6-minute startup. Alright, so we've reached the end of the startup. We can go ahead and close the door of the smoker and let it come up to temperature. We're starting out at a temperature of 96, and once it hits 350, I'll start the timer. Alright, so we've made it up to temperature. It took almost exactly 15 minutes, just for future reference. And this is as high as this smoker will go at 350. So normally you're smoking at more like 220, 225, 250. So it won't take nearly as long. So I'm going to set a 30-minute timer now, and we're going to let it cook. Alright, we've reached the end of our 30-minute timer, so everything should be done. Some of you may be concerned with the temperature and how high it stayed throughout the 30 minutes, but you have to keep in mind that typically when you're cooking something, you open up the main door to load up the meat and everything, so you're going to let all the heat out, so that will drop a lot faster under normal circumstances. Since I didn't open the door, it never came back down, so it's not that big of a deal. So I'm going to go ahead and get it into the shutdown mode, and then we'll check out the inside and see how it looks. So you always want to make sure that you don't just shut this off when you're done. When you're done cooking, you need to set it in the shutdown mode so that it shuts down on its own. The fan keeps cooling while everything's cooling down. So in order to do that, you come hit your button again, and you scroll over until it says shutdown, and then you hit the button again, and it'll start a 20-minute timer. And once that 20-minute timer is done, then you can power the unit down. But until then, you got to leave it running so that it does its process. I'll tell you what, guys, if you could smell the chemical smells that this thing is putting off, you would understand why this is a very important step. You want to burn off all that manufacturing oil and any debris or anything from shipping. It's really important so that that stuff doesn't get into your food. You don't want your food tasting like what I'm smelling. So that's going to pretty much wrap up this one for us. That's the startup of a brand new pellet grill. And you would need to go through the same process with the feeder anytime you run out of pellets, or if you want to change flavors and you run the auger out so you can change flavors. You don't have to do the 30-minute burn-in, but you do have to do the feed. We're going to go ahead and wrap that one up. I've got to get my chicken out so I can get it started for dinner tonight. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. If you have any questions or anything, just put them in the comments below and I'll get back to you. But for now, you guys have a good one and rock on.